Hello and welcome again to another video from Crown Point Optometry. My name is Suzanne McNeil and I'm an optometrist in Ontario, Canada. So in today's video, it'll be a little bit different than usual videos. I'll be talking a little bit about becoming an optometrist and my journey from, deciding to apply for optometry until I was licensed. So I was an undergrad in biochemistry at McGill, as I mentioned in a previous video, and I decided that I wanted to do optometry. So my first step was to look into the prerequisites and sign up for a couple of those courses. For example, there were some courses like ethics and psychology and microbiology and things that I didn't have already in my program, so I made sure that I got those ready. Also, I contacted some optometrists and was able to get a little bit of job shadowing in, which is good because it shows that you have some initiative when you apply, but also gives you a little bit more of a sense about the profession, to help you get ready. So then the next step was the optometry admissions test. So this is a multiple choice exam that has a whole bunch of different sections. One section was math, one section was science, which covered organic chemistry, regular chemistry, biology, physics, that kind of a thing. And there was also a reading comprehension section, that kind of a thing. So, the good news about that test is you get the scores right away, unlike most standardized tests. So at least the anxiety wasn't prolonged too much. Then I was ready to apply. So then there was an interview process at the optometry school. So I applied to 2 optometry schools. One of them was Salus in the United States. Another one was the University of Waterloo, which is obviously in Waterloo, Ontario in Canada. So in the end, I decided to go to Waterloo just because it was a little bit closer, and my preference would have been to stay in Canada if I could. So then the next step was orientation week. So orientation week, is a Waterloo tradition, and it's where kind of the class bonds together. So you do certain social activities, like there was some bowling and going to, having a barbecue and going to Wonderland, that kind of a thing, as well as getting an eye exam from the third years, that kind of thing, and also having, a couple of tours of the school and a couple orientation talks from different people, that kind of a thing, before the classes start. So then the next step was obviously starting classes. So, the first week was mostly lectures, and then as of the second week was roughly split equally in terms of lectures and lab. So one thing that's different than undergrad is just the number of hours is a fair bit more because you take a lot more classes. So there's roughly 2 days a week of lab and roughly 3 days a week of lectures in first year. So the labs varied from physics labs to perception labs to measuring glasses, different kinds of labs in the first year. So first semester is still quite theoretical, as opposed to practicing actual clinical skills yet. Then second semester rolls around, and then you get to start in pre-clinic. So pre-clinic is where you get to practice on classmates. So you would learn some skills in the pre-clinic in your lab time, and then you get the chance to practice on your classmates as well later on. And then periodically there would be practical exams where you'd be assessed on those skills. And that we also did have some more theoretical labs as well as lectures going into the second term. Now in that summer, because we did have the summer off between first and second year, I worked as a research assistant in Dr. Bobier's lab, so in a kind of binocular vision research type lab, doing some projects in binocular vision and lazy eye amblyopia, those kinds of things. Then was ready to start second year, where we took so then there's a little bit more clinical courses, a little bit less theoretical courses, so the focus gradually shifted. And then also I was eligible to sign up for what's called a VOSH trip, and that's where this t-shirt is from. So it's kind of Waterloo tradition that most students do get the chance, if they want to go on a mission trip where you go to a developing country. So there's usually a few optometrists and a bunch of optometry students that go and run a clinic for a period of time, usually around a week, and then they get to kind of go around as a tourist a little bit after that. So I did that at the end of second year, and I'll talk more about that when that comes. But I signed up for that in second year. And that was, more or less similar situation for first and second term of second year. So I did go on my VOSH trip at that point. So I went to Paraguay, And so we had a group of students both from Waterloo and from Southern California College of Optometry, and then we saw up to 500 patients a day, kind of going around to different states. Patients would go from station to station, and it was a great chance for me to practice clinical skills because you would be doing the same skill over and over again for half a day, so you get some good practice on a particular skill before you move on to a different skill as the days went on. And again, the doctors who were with us on the trip were great for teaching us as well, so that was some good practical experience before I started in the official school clinic in third year. So third year, then you're not really doing any basic science anymore. You're going strictly into classes and labs that are clinical, and also you're actually doing eye exams in the clinic 1 day a week. Now it starts pretty slow. You would start with typically one patient in the morning, one patient in the afternoon, and it would normally take most of that time because first of all you need to wait for your supervisor sometimes, as well as then for educational purposes the number of tests you're expected to do is a lot greater than would normally be done in a typical eye exam. And then gradually as the semester and as the year progresses, you go to be doing 2 or 3 in the morning and 2 or 3 in the afternoon kind of a thing. And you also get the chance to rotate through a couple of specialty clinics like contact lenses, low vision, that kind of a thing. And then in fourth year you also get to rotate into things like ocular health and those sorts of things. So it was good to get a little bit of a sense of some of the specialty clinics as well. And then that's more or less the same for both semesters of third year. And then fourth year is different because it's almost all clinical. So it works, you're in 3 different rotations. I did one of them, half in Ottawa, half in Kitchener. So these were private practice type rotations. So that was good just to see how things run in an actual clinic versus an academic setting. Another rotation that I did was in Dallas, Texas, in Parkland Hospital. So that was great because then I got to see kind of more an ophthalmology hospital-based setting. So there was a lot more disease going on. So that was good focused practice on that. And then my third rotation was at the school where I got to do kind of the ocular health clinic at the school as well as some other specialty clinics like binocular vision over there. Fourth year also included boards exams. So I did the written part of my boards exam in the fall and then did my practical part just after finishing my rotations in the spring. And then after the boards exam, there's a very hard wait because they do take about 6 or 8 weeks or so to get results in. So then there was the long anticipated wait to get those in. Fortunately, that went well. So that was good. And there was also a jurisprudence exam in the spring, which is to do with the laws that apply specifically to Ontario and optometry. So once all those exams were done and I got my license, then I started working. So I've worked in a couple of locations at first before I bought my practice. And then gradually I've transitioned into working for myself. So that's a little bit about the journey, about how I came to be an optometrist. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for other videos from Crown Point Optometry. Thank you.